Hi, my name is Genevieve, and today in my kitchen I am making dinner. Well, I always make dinner, but usually not for YouTube. For YouTube, I make a lot of desserts and stuff. But for this episode, I am making dinner, and what I have made is called Bistek. And Bistek is a Filipino dish that is not as popular as pancit or lumpia, but it should be because this is ultimate comfort food. For me, at least, it's underrated in my opinion. It's super easy, it's super quick to make, and it's super yummy. I love beef steak and I want to show you how to make it. So without further ado, let's go over the ingredients. The first step, quiet! The first step is to tell your kids to cook rice, but fortunately for my kids, they're at school, so it's my job today. These are my ingredients. I am using flank steak, and if my grocery store didn't have flank steak, if my grocery store didn't have flank steak, I would use skirt steak instead. But those are the only two cuts of meats that I will use for this recipe, only because the meat comes out really, really tender, which is what I want. So you will need some beef, some soy sauce, some calamansi juice, lemon onions, and some black pepper. There's one more thing I wanted to say about the ingredients, and that is if you don't have any calamansi juice, then, well, of course you could substitute it with lemon juice. And actually, I feel like most standard beef steak recipes use lemon juice, and I just love it when it's made with calamansi juice. I just feel like it ups the flavor so much more. Or you can opt for this. Go to your local Asian grocery store and see if they carry this. This is called toyo-mansi, and toyo means soy sauce. And so this is soy sauce, calamansi, which is the main ingredients in the beef steak is soy sauce and calamansi. And I've been stationed in areas where I didn't have any access to calamansi, but I had an Asian grocery store that carried this, and I would use this when I make beef steak, and it substitutes very well. Not even a substitute, it works very well. It tastes exactly as if I were to use calamansi juice. So see if you can grab a bottle of this because it's very versatile. You can also make a lot of dipping sauces with this. And if there's no Asian markets around you at all, then I'll put a link to this in the description box below where you can go check it out. And since you're going to be there anyway, go ahead and like this video and also hit that subscribe button if you haven't subscribed to my channel already. The first step is cutting your onions, and if you've seen enough of my videos, you probably know that I am really sensitive to cutting onions and I cry really easily. But I saw something that said if I held water in my mouth while I cut onions, it will prevent me from crying. So guess what I'm gonna do? You betcha. Cheers. I just realized that I can't talk when I have water in my mouth, which might be a good thing. But let me explain what I'm going to do first, and then I'll put the water in my mouth. I'm going to cut my onions in rings or circles because that's just the way that I like it. And that's all I'm going to say. Ta-da! Okay, so all my onions are cut and not a tear in my eye. Well, actually, I did like tear in this eye a little bit because I was trying to peel off the skin of the onion and I held it up this close and one of the juice squirted in my eye. So that's why this one's tearing. But other than that, I would say like 9 out of 10, I recommend if you are sensitive to cutting onions like me, hold some water in your mouth. Works for me. All right, so set these aside and now I'm gonna cut my meat. My meat is washed and dried, and the key to the beefsteak is to cut the meat very thin. So make sure your knife is sharpened to do this. Like as thin as you can. Does that look gross? I'm sorry, but I just want to show you how thin I'm cutting the meat. My meat is completely thawed out, so it's very flexible. If I had time, I would throw it into the freezer a little bit just to harden, and that would make it a little easier to cut it very, very thin. Little tip for you. All my ingredients are ready. My onions are cut. My meat is cut. I have all my ingredients ready. So now I am going to take this to the stovetop. The first thing I'm going to do here at the stovetop is sear my meat. So you want to get your you want to get your pan really, really hot. Okay? So high. Test your tongs and make sure they work. Mine works. You want to make sure that when you lay the meat down that it's flat and that it doesn't like fold on itself, okay? That way it like cooks each side evenly. I cut my meat really thin, so each side should take between 30 seconds to a minute to get this nice looking spear here. It shouldn't take too long to cook. By the time I'm done adding my last meat piece, the first piece is already ready to be flipped over. All my meat has been cooked. See, it looks like this. So I'm going to set this aside. I cleaned my pan on, and now I'm going to cook my onions. I'm going to break my onions out of their rings. My fire is on medium-low, so now I'm going to fry it. I'm still just trying to break up the rings. Okay, this is where I want to stop. My onions are just starting to darken a little bit, and they've gotten a little bit soft. They're still pretty hard, but a little soft. So now I'm going to add my meat. Soy sauce. Calamansi juice. Turn this up. And some pepper. The rest, now the rest of the onion is going to cook in the sauce. I'm continually tossing it around because I want everything to cook evenly. If I don't, then the onions on the bottom are going to cook faster than the ones on top. So make sure you toss it around. Oh, it's hot in here. Whew. Okay, this is done. And this is how I know that it's done, is that like the really, I don't want to hold this up, but so the really small pieces of onion that I cut, you could see are starting to take the color of the soy sauce, and I don't want that. If you cook it too long, if you overcook the onions, then they're just going to have the flavor of the sauce, and they're going to lose like their onion taste, their sweet onion taste, which is what I wanted to preserve. So when it just starts to take a little bit of that soy sauce, that's how you know it's done. Well, this is the way that I like it. So to me, this is done. Let's eat. it's time to feast. See, I don't need a knife. I'm able to just tear the meat apart with my spoon and my fork. Mmm. This is yummy. I don't know why beefsteak is not more popular. It should be more popular than pancit. I actually eat beefsteak more than I eat pancit. I eat beefsteak more than I eat lumpia. It's super good. I have recently launched a Facebook page. My Facebook page is the same as my YouTube name, Genevieve's Goodies. So you can find me on Facebook. You can find me on Facebook. You can find me on Instagram. And I thank you for joining me in the kitchen and watching me make this yummy beefsteak. Bye. Thanks for watching.